This training is for the vehicle owner and the transportation admin who would like to mass assign vehicles and drivers to recurring trips. You will access the feature to mass assign from your vehicle owners tab. If you are a vehicle owner, you can find the recurring trips there. If you are a transportation admin, you can also find recurring trips under the owners tab. A transportation admin also have the option of going under the trip request tab and getting to your recurring trips. Click on the recurring trips option here on the left, and it will bring up your recurring trips screen. Notice that in this view, you have a list of all the trips that are recurring, information about those assignments, about any recurring trips. Now, if you know the batch number of the recurring trips that you would like to assign, you've got a drop down here for the batch ID, and you can just select the batch ID and pull those up and begin your mass assign. If you aren't sure, you can use your filters to find the narrow down, to find the batch ID. So you can come in and select yourself as the owner. If you know the school that's traveling, you can select that school, and then as the screen is refreshing, it's narrowing down the different batches for us. If you know the destination, then you can select that as well. I do know all of this information, so I'm going to go ahead and select that. And so when I choose my batch ID drop down, then that helps it narrow down, and I know which one I am wanting to work with, and I'm wanting to work with batch 4919. Now remember, the batch ID is determined by the original trip request number. So if you know the original trip request number, then you can always know the batch ID as well. Now, in order to mass assign, we do need to select the radio button, Need Vehicles Drivers Assigned. It's going to default you to all trips, even if they've got an assignment. But in order to mass assign, you can only mass assign to requests that have not had an assignment. So we will need to select that. So far, we have set all of our filters, which is required, and we've selected our radio button, Need Vehicles and Drivers Assigned. Now, it's important to remember, and this is a note here in red, that if you would like to assign a vehicle and a driver to a trip, and you would like to mass assign those, you have to do it at the same time. So you can't mass assign the vehicle and then later on go in and mass assign the driver. You'll have to do that manually one at a time. And so you can only mass assign new assignments and the vehicle and driver together. Now, another option that you need to know about is your option to change the number of vehicles needed. So, for example, in my batch here, only one vehicle was requested in the original trip request, and perhaps I've determined that a different number of vehicles is needed. So you can change the number of vehicles needed. So if I think they're going to need more, I'm going to change that number here and say we're actually going to need 2 vehicles. So once you have determined if you need more or fewer vehicles, you can add that in and then click the button to change the number of vehicles needed. And then we can see the system will automatically go through now and update so that I have to assign 2 vehicles to this particular trip. Now I'm going to be able to add my vehicle and my driver to all of these trips, mass assign to all of these trips. The uh, mass assign does not check for availability. So you want to be sure that you have definitely know that these drivers and these vehicles are available for this trip. Now I need 2 vehicles and 2 drivers. I can only assign one at a time, one assignment at a time. So I'm going to assign bus 190 and Homer to this particular batch of trips. I'm going to select them in the drop down, and then I'm going to click the button to assign that vehicle and that driver. So when I click the button, the system is going to mass assign that vehicle and that driver. to all of the trips that are listed. Now we can just confirm that we do have that driver and that vehicle on all of our trips. And now we're going to add our second vehicle and our second driver to the trip. In the same manner, we're going to use our drop down to select the vehicle and the driver. And then we're going to assign by clicking the Vehicle and Driver Assignment to Request button. And wait while the system makes the assignment. Now, notice that the trips are gone and we get a message, there's no more trips to assign. So we have successfully assigned both drivers and both vehicles. We have filled the request. Now, if you would like to view that, you can change your radio button here from the Need Vehicles and Drivers Assigned back to All Trips. And again, that's going to give you that visibility. And here we can see we've got Homer and Sharon and their buses assigned to all of those recurring trips. So that is how you use the Mass Assign to your recurring trips. If you would like to utilize that feature, very helpful, especially if you have recurring trips that are going every week for the remainder of the school year. Perhaps that will be a very helpful tip for you today. Thank you very much.